Let's turn to this now. The KwaZulu-Natal government will this weekend honor and reflect on the life and legacy of King Dinuzulu. The event will take place at KwaCeza Sports Field in Nongoma this weekend. Let's speak more about this now. We're joined by historian Dr. Troy Meyers. Dr. Meyers, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening. Others say this is a king who was exiled at St. Helena. Others saying this is a pivotal figure in the country's history. Others say he's a Zulu king who was incarcerated, which galvanized black people against the colonialists. What's the correct narrative about this son of King Dinuzulu that is otherwise not told as the nation commemorates 110 years?
Look, for me, you know that I'm coming from the KZN perspective when we speak. I mean, I am not an authoritative Zulu leader as such, even though part of my ancestors were. So for me, when I look at stuff, I look at it from Shaka, which is our beginnings in 1824, and it's now 200 years. It's after that. And looking at King Dinuzulu Keshwayo, what I find out, or what I draw from his leadership, is that he was looking for the unified Zulu kingdom, because, as you know, after his father had passed away and he took the throne at the young age of 16, the British officially only recognized his father, and thereafter they broke up the kingdom into 13 territories. They gave his relative Sebuhu, kind of autonomy over his territory and brought the rest under their control. So what we have is that Dinuzulu then revolts against that, and kind of, in the time that he lived in, asked for the restoration of the kingdom, which was anathema to the British. The British line was formidable and ferocious. So, of course, they didn't respond to his request for a unified kingdom. And his relative now felt very emboldened and started to attack him. And, of course, then he called on the Boers to assist him, which they responded favorably under the leadership of General Louis Botha, which we know in 1910 became the first president of the Union of South Africa. So he finally defeats his relative at the Battle of Ghost Mountain on the 5th of June, 1884. And, at the same time, the outcome of that is the establishment of a Boer republic called the New Republic in northern KZN, which was from Utrecht and Vryheid, and then they sought to extend that to the coast where they could have a harbor. Because wherever when they embarked on the Great Trek, they went to Durban looking for an outlet to create some sort of a trading entity, and they were suppressed by the British. So that was the ongoing battle between the British and the Boers. And of course, Dinuzulu now, kind of like Shaka, non-racial in a way, looked at what was more pragmatic for his people, and he extended that hand of friendship to the Boers. Of course, in 1890, he was captured by the British because he had sided with the Boers when the British tried to annex the coastal plain from Tugela all the way up to prevent the Boers from creating, as I said, that trade port. So he was exiled to St. Helena, and he spent 7 years there. Of course, when he came back, Zululand was formally incorporated into Natal, and then his existence kind of goes quiet. You don't really hear much about him. And suddenly there's a massive flare-up in 1906, where there was the Bambatha Rebellion, when a head tax was being levied against Zulus, hard tax in a way, and he was actually fingered by the British, and they laid the blame at his door. He was tried, found guilty of treason, even though he protested strenuously against that, and he was sentenced to 4 years in prison. that was around about 1908. In 1910, the Union of South Africa is created, and Louis Botha kind of reciprocates and releases him from prison, after him serving two years. And then he passes away in 1913. And ironically, it's the Boers who actually give him a state funeral. Yeah. So that sort of play between the colonial powers and trying to make sure that the kingdom survives and continues to thrive is his legacy. And of course, today where his statue is in Bria, I mean, once that was also the place where Louis Botha was, General Louis Botha's statue was actually set up. So for me, I would have liked to see, in terms of reconciliation, that they should have kept General Louis Botha alongside the king, maybe a little bit of a smaller statue. But I mean, that's how I see Dinuzulu, a person who's tenacious, had to contend between two major opponents from Europe, and he held his ground. And I mean, he's left a solid legacy for the Zulu nation, and for us as trailblazers is a part that we feel that the country should actually, reorientate ourselves to.
Yes. Well, one of the names that is cited as being at his deathbed, is it in 1913, I think you said, is Mahatma Gandhi.
1913, yeah.
Yeah. How significant was that relationship with Mahatma Gandhi?
Look, I didn't really look into Mahatma Gandhi himself in terms of those relationships. But what I remember with Mahatma Gandhi is him going to Marion Hill Monastery and meeting with, John Dubé and those type of revolutionaries, which were, of course, the founding fathers of the ANC. But what I do understand is that could have kind of, initiated his settlement at Phoenix, and I didn't really follow up on his relationship with the Zulu king as such, to be honest.
Yeah. The events, I suppose, that would have led to the Bambatha Rebellion in 1906, and others looking at maybe other events that are happening and the kind of challenges and activism that we are seeing in South Africa today. Can you draw any parallels there?
Look, for me, the intimacy of the Bambatha Rebellion is that one of our chiefs from the Finn tribe, or the Finn clan, which were chiefs under or over the Inzimbini tribe and the Izinkumbini, that mandate was given to them by King Shaka. He was actually fingered by the British for not defending his tribe from assisting the Bambatha Rebellion. And they were based at that time in Umtulumi, which is, I would imagine, about 40 or 50 kilometers south of Durban. So we had to pay a heavy price. His wife was a KwaZulu lady, but he was authentically, of course, I mean, even though he was from Frank Finn, who was a brother to Henry Francis Finn, he kind of was seen as pro-African in a way, in that he didn't stand up from the administration point of view from Pietermaritzburg, which was the center of the administration, and hadn't done enough to kind of defend the colonial state, as it were. So we were fined 1,500 head of cattle, which was a huge amount, and it set us back and kind of dethroned us from the chieftainship, because, when you don't have cattle and you don't have land and you can't have followers and adherents. So for me, what it typifies today is, of course, it's important that the population stands against any excesses by the state, and draconian measures, which we don't really see at this stage. But, I'm just wondering, the state of the city where I live in, the destruction of state infrastructure, if you're fighting an issue, seems to me to be counterproductive for our advancement. So whilst the Bambatha Rebellion was honorable, because I mean you could not overtax a community that's still trying to find its feet and is in abject poverty. The same thing happened in Transkei too as well, where one of our relatives, Ernest Lockenberg, led Mandela, Owar Tambo and Winnie Mandela in 1960, who was a KwaZulu chief, Ernest Lockenberg, in 1960. So people actually don't see the correlation between KwaZulu, Xhosa, Zulus. So what's happening today is that I'm being kind of, honored by being integrated into those structures with the Xhosas. We're speaking about that now. And of course, we're embarking on this program with the Zulu Kingdom, where we're looking to restore the Dan chieftainship too as well, which was authentically started by Kejwayo. I mean, Kejwayo kind of gave lots of wives to Dan as well, even though he was a white guy. So we were unique in the sense that we kind of straddled both worlds, but on the ground we were authentically Zulu in our makeup and the way we spoke. But of course, that now, kind of, seemed to demote us to a third-rate people. So of course others felt that, we needed to be more colonial in the way we pronounce words and the way we conduct ourselves in terms of Christianity. But today everybody, I mean, you meet a Zulu guy, he even speaks better English than me, and he seems to have more of a European outlook on life than maybe we do as KwaZulu, which in terms of restoring our culture, we're looking backwards now. Before Jan van Riebeeck came, what were our rituals, what was our cultural practices and indigenous systems. But of course, the common nexus between Xhosa, Zulus and KwaZulu is that our language, we inform the Zulu language and Xhosas with those click sounds, and their understanding of the cosmology of who God is in the universe came from the Bushmen. So I see us as one people, So there's words that are spelled different when you speak to a Zulu, which is very similar, to a Zulu or a Xhosa. And of course, we need to go back and find ourselves, even between us as polities, the Northern Inguni and the Southern Inguni. And we've done well. I think in the Eastern Cape, we were united in terms of confronting the colonial intrusion and expansion for those 9 frontier wars. But our people are not aware of that, so we need to conscientize them that our future is common, even with the Afrikaners today and our English-speaking whites. We really need to get our act together. We're in the international arena now. I mean, people are not even aware that there was even a Jewish Zulu chief, which was ordained by Shocker. I mean, Daniel Isaacs was a Jewish trader.
I'm out of time for now, Dr. Meyer, but I want to bring you in. I think there's a whole lot more conversation that we need to have on that score. That Dr. Troy Meyers, historian there, on the 110th commemoration of King Dinuzulu.